Hello everyone. I think a lot of people have noticed that it's been a long time since our favorite theories. I think you already missed such videos. I was already very sad without them, and so it's time to analyze and understand what will happen with our favorite characters in the next episode. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and write a comment, because your feedback just boggles my mind. And here we go. I am very interested in the fate of Pomni and Kaufmo, and the rest, of course. Let's talk about Pomni first, because she was the main character not only in the pilot episode, but also in the ending. It is the mystery that Pomni could not solve. The void is the place around which a huge number of theories and assumptions are built. But let's imagine two situations, in one of which we will find out what happens beyond the void, and in the other, the story of Pomni will develop inside the digital circus. I would certainly like to know what happens in this mysterious void, so let's present this variant of events first. After Pomni's feast, we were shown a strange image of Pomni's journey back to the digital circus. But what if it wasn't just a scene that only we saw to fully understand the situation around the circus? But if Pomni was able to remember this path because this route came out of her head? Realizing this, Pomni decides to return to her original idea and try to get out again. But realizing that the void will put her in a trance and Kane will teleport to her and take her away, Pomni decides to explain her point of view to Ragatha and convince her to find a way out of this digital hell. At first, Pomni decided to gather all her strength and suppress the terror inside her that had settled over that amazing day at the circus. Once Pomni was able to calm down, she began to think about what to do next. The first thing she would do would be to talk to Ragatha constantly to convince her that she was right. But considering Ragatha's insecurities, this could take days or even weeks. And that will be the first part of Pomni's line in the next episode. But eventually Pomni will succeed and Ragatha will believe her. And then like a radio effect, this news will spread to the rest of the circus. Some will believe it, some will be skeptical, but we won't know who will react, but it will be done on purpose. After that, we'll have to figure out how to get into the void without Kane finding out. And with all of his tracking methods, it won't be the easiest thing to do. Despite the fact that Kane tries so hard to prove that he has a huge number of eyes, thanks to which he observes every movement in the circus, I think it's a complete lie. Because he was really surprised when he found out about the abstracted Kaufmo, and that suggests that he knew nothing about it, even though we have been shown these events throughout the episode, and how much time has passed before that remains to be guessed. So the only thing left to do is to steal or destroy the Wacky Watch, which is Kane's main navigator in the digital world. My guess is that the inhabitants will be able to work together and at the same time create a little chaos in different parts of the circus to drive Kane a little crazy, and as a result steal the Wacky Watch surreptitiously, thus creating a seamless escape route from the digital circus. And the overjoyed Pomni will have learned to control her thoughts, thanks to which she will be able to create different spaces within the digital circus, thus having all the cards on her side for a successful escape. And closer to the end, we will be able to see how she and all those who trusted her will first get into that mysterious room that is already very well known to us in Pomni. And then the whole company will get into the void, and when there is only a little bit left to the exit point, Kane will appear in front of them and will teleport everyone back, and his mood will be terrible, and it is even scary to imagine what he will do with those who escaped. And this will be the best moment for the end of the next episode. But how Kane will know about their escape, we will learn in the next episode. But what if Pomni doesn't make up her mind, forgets, or Kane can make her believe that there is no way out and our fool will be forced to stay in the digital circus like everyone else before her? This option should also be considered, as it would be very interesting for us as well. It seems to me that the idea of memory erasure is the most logical. After all, as we found out a long time ago, every inhabitant of the amazing digital circus is a mannequin into which the consciousness of a real person has been transferred, and along with the consciousness, the memory, the habits, and many other things have been transferred. So each of the characters is just a digital clone, and since Kane is the main administrator, he can easily control all digital mechanisms, including new memories. And such a variant of events is quite probable in the next episode of the digital circus. But I don't think it's very interesting because in this case we'll see Pomni and everyone else doing all Kane's wishes and tasks, but maybe one moment a memory of the void or a mysterious room will flash in her head, but it would be great if it was the end of the episode, because Kaufmo, or a poor clown, or just a victim of bullying. This character can be called in different ways, but from this his fate will not become less unpleasant. Because as we know, Kaufmo was a cheerful guy who tried to amuse everyone even in such a horrible atmosphere, which is experienced by all the inhabitants of the digital circus being inside this space. As far as I know, Kaufmo was originally intended to be the main character of the amazing digital circus, but due to the large number of characters, the author felt he was unnecessary and cut him out in such a clever way that the whole plot was built around him. But I don't think that anyone expected that this clown would interest such a huge number of people, because Kaufmo's fandom makes up a huge part of the fans of the whole series. more fans probably only at Pomni and of course at Jax, who is the most popular character of the digital circus. And while I think Gangle or Kinger are very interesting characters, I would like to know more about Kaufmo. I'd like to see Kaufmo instead of Gangle because Kinger is also a very successful character, but Gangle is not popular with the audience at all. Maybe we will see how at the beginning of the next episode Jax will start joking and mocking Gangle again. As a result, there will be a small quarrel, which will be the last point in the adequacy and balance of Gangle. And from that moment, our Gangle will start to go crazy. Every day we will observe the deterioration of her condition and mood, which will eventually lead her to turn into an abstracted monster. And as you know, a new character has to take the place of the one who disappeared. It doesn't make much sense to add a new one, because we already have a perfect cast, so the return of Kaufmo will be the most correct, smart, and the only right decision. But what will happen in this case, and how the characters of the digital circus will live on? Let's get to the bottom of it. Gangle is gone, everyone is shocked, and Kaufmo appears and everyone is shocked again. I think when Kaufmo returns, which will be in the middle of the next episode, everyone will be wondering about his fate, and then Kaufmo will start talking about what happened to him and who's to blame. I already told you why Zooble was the character that made Kaufmo go crazy, so I won't repeat myself. After all this is said, the rest of the inhabitants will believe Kaufmo's words and finally listen to what Pomni has said so many times, namely, the door that leads to this very exit. And also the attitude of the other characters towards Zooble might change, and that would be the most likely scenario since it has been known for a while that the third episode will be all about Zooble. And now imagine how nice it will be. Kaufmo will come back and everyone will be happy about it, and the attitude towards our clown will be much better. And at the same time, from now on, everyone will be more careful, if not dangerous, with such a phenomenon as the digital circus. And also the story with Zooble fits so perfectly into the plot that it is impossible not to believe in this version. And now that we've touched on Zooble, let's talk a little bit about her future in the upcoming episodes. Once everyone finds out that Zooble is actually a traitor who only wants to cause trouble for the rest of the digital circus, her life will be a lonely one. At first glance, Zooble may not seem to need to communicate, but she is always trying to start a dialogue. Even though her level of socializing with others is very arrogant, she can still show her emotions that way. And the moment everyone turns their backs on Zooble, that's when we'll see her true face. She will try desperately to regain the trust of all the other characters, but unfortunately, no one will believe her. And this will lead to the same situation that happened to Kaufmo. Zooble will become withdrawn and crazy, so we will see a real example of the boomerang of life. And that will be the end of the second episode. And the third episode will tell us about Zooble's past, about what happened to Zooble when he was in the digital circus, and maybe we will also see how Zooble finally goes crazy and finally gets abstracted. A lot of people might be happy about that, but I wouldn't want that to happen, because Zooble is a really unique character that we love for his originality, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. Well, that's it for now. Post your opinion on my theories in the comments, and I'd love to read it. And it's time for me to wish you good luck and success and say see you in the new videos. And there's a new video every 2 days.